One of the interesting things about Tashkent is that it's a city of over 1 million people and there isn't a single McDonald's in sight.
And that's one thing I love about this city. It bucks the trend to define its own identity, and it's that identity I'm keen to explore with you guys. But the question is, what is Tashkent? Is it this traditional holdover from the Soviet times? Or is it something more modern, something that's stepped boldly into the 21st century? I think I'll let you guys decide with this premiere episode of my series and the other episodes to come.
We're in the old city, and right at the heart of the old city is the Chorsu Bazaar, which you see behind me. Now, believe it or not, it's actually stood for about 500 years, and it's one of the last places you can see vestiges of traditional Uzbek life in Tashkent today. And I say that because over the decades, more and more of the city of Tashkent has become modernized. This is one of the last truly authentic traditional parts of Tashkent. So we're going to go in, check it out.
She's saying, how are you? She's asking about your mother, father. Is they okay?
Yes, thank you. They are very well. Thank you very much.
What is? Yeah. Do you have babies?
Not yet. She's to get married and have children, right?
Yeah. She's saying she wishes you happiness in a family life with your wife, with a future wife. What do you do for a living?
I'm a consultant.
Huh?
I'm a consultant.
Consultant.
I loved that interaction, the authenticity of those women, and it's when you interact with locals, when you can have widely different perspectives, but with curiosity and respect, that's what binds you. That's one of the things I love about Tashkent.
So there are actually two parts to the bazaar. We've got the indoor part, and that was the domed, the large dome you'd have seen outside. But all along the circumference, you've got other sellers selling fruits and selling vegetables and that sort of thing. We'll see if we can get a look as we come around. Yes, I want to know where I can get a hat like that. Just outside? Downstairs?
Yeah.
I think we should go downstairs and look.
Hospitality is a staple of Uzbek culture, and nowhere is this more true than in those traditional parts of the city.
Bu Samarkand, Bukhara, hamma viloyatlarda kelsa bo'ladi. Qashqadaryolarda.
There you go.
Yes.
So wait, and that's it. You just put it on.
Yeah.
Huh.
Nice.
It's funny.
You should try this one because it is.
Right, because it's a better size.
Yeah.
This unisex.
Yeah.
Would a guy wear this?
Bu ham erkeklarnikimi, qizlarnimi? This is also guys. This is for little guys, like children.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
I like this one a lot. Yeah.
I'm usually quite partial to inexpensive but authentic ethnographic items from different cultures, and for some reason in the last few years I've really become interested in traditional men's headwear.
And something that's interesting, right, is that Uzbekistan's a really diverse country. So you could see a certain style that's more common in Tashkent, which is this one right here. But then if you go to Bukhara, you go to Khiva, you go to Samarkand, you go to Andijan, Termiz, each of these distinct regions have these different caps, and I think this one's a steal.
And so it's decided I'm adding a dofta, I hope I pronounced that properly, to my collection of men's headgear.
70 milli.
I'm glad I started my reintroduction to Tashkent in the bazaar. You know, it was a reminder of just how friendly some of the locals can be. And I remember a lovely lady I met in the park just opposite 5 years ago with her son. And the funny thing is, it was she who spoke the better English, better than the son. and it was, she with her determined personality and winning smile and twinkling eyes who insisted that I come over and join them for tea. So, at times, yes, hospitality does rise to the stature of a quirk in Uzbekistan, but there are other quirks as well, and some of them just a shade inconvenient. And I've already spoken about one, which is the issue around this culture almost of the host burden, which I spoke about earlier. But there's another funny quirk. It's not particularly a bother, it's just a quirk, which is that in Uzbekistan, if you come into the country as a foreigner, you're on a visa, you've got to register with the police. I think it's within 2 to 3 days of your arrival, and if you don't, there are some tough questions you could be subjected to as you depart the country. And I say could because there's no guarantee. It might happen or it might not happen, but essentially what happens is that wherever you stay, your host has to register you. And I remember getting this sheet of paper showing when you came into the country, how you came into the country, and the fact that you were registered with the police. Now, if you stay in a hotel, they will do this for you automatically, but as a person who loves to stay in Airbnbs, when I'm trying to get this local flavor, it's up to you and your host to sort out how this happens. Now, I say it's a weird quirk because of all of the other Stan countries in Central Asia, Uzbekistan is the only one that does this. Didn't have to do this in Kyrgyzstan or Kazakhstan or Tajikistan. It's generally a holdover from the Soviet period, but then from the Soviet period and all of the other countries that were part of the Eastern Bloc. But the funny thing is that the countries that do this today are quite few and far between. In the Balkans, certainly Montenegro and Bosnia still have this practice. Serbia does, if I correctly recall. I don't believe Albania does. And so just a few countries from the Balkans, and then there is Uzbekistan, and there could be one or two others. And now we're off to Amir Temur Square, the cultural heart of Tashkent, just to get a feel for things.
And I remember when I came to this city for the first time 5 years ago, and I was really intrigued. But back then, I got the impression that, if I'm to compare Tashkent to, say, Almaty, my impression was that Tashkent was far more traditional and that Almaty was the face of the future. But that was the year the first president of the Republic died, and for whatever reason, the country decided that they were going to step forward into the 21st century. So in that 5-year period alone, the scale of change that I've seen in Tashkent is really staggering. You're seeing far more liberal attitudes. The fact that I can stand here and be filmed on a tripod is testament, to how quickly Uzbekistan is starting to open up. If you go to neighborhoods like Mirabad, you start to see that there is a middle class in this country that's not just becoming more prevalent, but also more visible. And I firmly believe that at this pace, in 2 or 3 more years, it's going to be Tashkent that becomes the face of Central Asia. It's going to be Tashkent that's leading the way for other cities to follow. I do hope you stay with me over the next few days as we go exploring other interesting parts of Tashkent to really give this city a chance and put it right in the same category as places like Samarkand, Bukhara and Khiva.
The Minor Mosque on the east bank of the Anho Canal stole my heart when I saw it. It was commissioned in 2014, and its oriental design, spiced liberally with more modern elements, are a classic metaphor for Tashkent, straddling the old and the new.
So as an example, we look at this building over here, and this is just one of several construction sites going up. Some of these over the city are new apartment blocks, others are commercial buildings, and it's just a reminder that there's still a lot of potential that Tashkent can find. Sort of in between that, right, you look down this canal, which is quite popular with not just kayakers, and these guys actually own their kayaks, they're that hardcore, but also runners, right? And so we did see a few joggers running up and down the canal as we were standing here, and it just reminds you that there are so many facets to this city. More and more, especially when I think back to 5 years ago, Tashkent just keeps on modernizing. One interesting thing I wanted to call out about this is, and this is me comparing Tashkent to Istanbul. Unlike Istanbul, right, when it's the time for prayer, you can hear the azan anywhere you are in the city. for about 20 minutes straddling the prayer. You can hear it coming off of this minaret and that minaret. Some of them are off key, some of them are in sync. But in Tashkent, you don't hear that. It's perfect silence. Right, now, one of the interesting things about Tashkent is that it's a city of over 1 million people and there isn't a single McDonald's in sight. For me, that makes Tashkent feel just a bit more authentic than other cities that have been taken over by American brands, other American fast food chains. So what we're going to do to get our fast food fix tonight is check out Maxway. Now, there are a few of these outlets around the city and we'll see if their food's any good, all right? So come on, let's take a look. All right, so one of the interesting things about getting fast food in Maxway is that they actually bring the menu to the table. You take the order at the table and they bring the food. So it's actually almost like normal restaurant service, but it's in a fast food joint. So please, could I have just one of this, one of this, barbecue, mayonnaise, and the mango.
Mango margarita.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. All right, so the food's come out. They brought it to the table, as I explained earlier, and I'm just going to let you know if it's all that. I'd have to say it's really good wedges, really good chips, but at the end of the day, fast food tastes like fast food wherever you are, and this could very well be McDonald's or Burger King or anything else. The only thing that's different is the brand.
I'm sitting on the Tashkent metro in a carriage with people wearing masks, and across from me sits a young man. He's staring at me. But in a city where I'm usually the only black person around for miles, I'm accustomed to being stared at. A few moments later, I take off my mask to record a selfie update for this very content, and his eyes light up, as though he recognises me. The train stops, and I leave the platform. I observe he's following me, so I turn to him and ask, "I'm sorry, do I know you?" And he takes off his mask and he says, yes, of course. And in that moment, as his eyes light up, I remember him. It was him I met 5 years ago, with his mother in the park, as they urged me to sit with them for tea. He sports a fuller beard, and his English has improved markedly. We exchange pleasantries, and as we prepare to part, I ask him to extend my regards to his mother. At this, he seems unnerved, and I wonder what I've said wrong. "I'm sorry, I cannot," he says with visible pain. "But why?" I asked, befuddled. "My mother, she died 7 months ago," he tells me, "of COVID-19.